Welcome to the Tolleson-Mack Podcast. I'm Brandon Shelton. Today we're joined by Jordan Weaver. He's the host of the Flatbed Podcast. If you guys have checked that out, and man, we've had a lot of stories getting the game started today.
We're all warmed up.
We're all warmed up. We're ready to go. Now we got to retell all those stories because they were so good. So, what do you know about this guy, Cesar?
Man, I met him a few years back when I roped with Brandon Beers, and shoot, he's been a good friend ever since. Let me rope over there at his house. He had some nice roping steers. So, you know me.
Oh, yeah.
Friends for life.
That's what Bill Wood told me one time. He's like, man, if you're ever depressed and, like, you're not feeling good and, like, you don't think you got any friends, he said, just build an arena. He's like, you'll get all kinds of friends.
Right.
So,
and white-tip sharks are, historically loyal, so he's a good guy to have in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Oceanic white-tip shark.
White-tip shark.
Right. So what's up, Jordan? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, I tell this to people all the time, that if you want to be a good podcast guest, the best way to be a good guest on a podcast is ask questions, right? Because if, like, we all just went and ate lunch and I was like, okay, ask me questions, you'd be like, oh, this isn't interesting.
Yeah, this
right?
is
so. If you don't mind, I'll tell you about me, anything you guys want to know, but, like, how did this start?
How did our podcast start?
And I'm not saying that on principle, like, I'm going to be a good podcast guest. I honestly would love to know, like, how this came about.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, from my perspective, everybody give their own. So I'm on my way to Wilcox one day, and Brandon Brown calls me up and says, hey, you want to do a podcast with me? I was like, yeah, like, go be a guest on somebody's podcast. He's like, no, I want to start a podcast. He's like, and I want you to host it. And he's like, and I'm going to have Cesar on there. I was like, Cesar de la Cruz? He's like, yeah. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, put me in, coach.
Right.
And so he's like, you're serious? I said, I'm 100% in. He goes, you give me a solid year? I said, I'll give you as long as you need. I've known Brendan a long time. I'm really proud of what he's built. And I was 100% in. So that's what got me here. And slowly as we build this up and keep it going, I get to meet cool dudes like you. And, like I said, Larry, D guy, I think she's awesome. We've Chelsea Schaefer. We've had some cool people on here. So,
well, I'll tell you this: I don't know anybody that Cesar doesn't know. I'll go a step further. I don't know anybody that Cesar couldn't call that would do whatever. Mm-hmm. As far as, like, strategic partnerships and things like that, man,
he's like Kevin Bacon, like you play that
6 degrees. Yeah. Only his is like 1.
Yeah, like 1 degree.
It's like Cesar directly to everyone.
Right. I mean, Prescott, Clayton Bigelow, Isaac Diaz. We got all those dudes in.
You know why he knows them. I can tell you. You know why he knows these guys?
I don't know what
I'm going to go back in time. I'm sitting there at St. Paul on my horse. I'm waiting for the team roping to start, and they're riding bulls. Mm-hmm. It's been a long fourth. And all of a sudden I hear the ambulances or the medics or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We've heard it.
I look up, and they're coming. I'm like, I didn't see anybody get hurt in the arena. So I'm trying to figure out what happened. I'm like, maybe somebody got run over the back gate. Hey, they've got, like, this patch over Cesar's head. The bull kicks the bell off the bull rope, catches Cesar, because Cesar was behind the buck and shoots, because Cesar's a real one. Mm-hmm. He's not just a team roper. He's down there encouraging people. Hey, Cesar, I feel like, could talk people into really terrible things. Because, like, if he's like, you can do it, you're like, okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, he says I can do it.
If I'm about to ride a bull, who do I want next to me? Cesar. So, he actually protected everyone behind him from getting hit by the bell.
That's the kind of guy he is.
Using my head. Hey, and I got a standing ovation, by the way. The Justice Sports Medicine people, as soon as it happened, I pulled my hat off. There's blood, it split my eyebrow open, so there's blood just running down my face. And the Justice Sports Medicine had a patch on me and lifted me up and was hauling me out. The bull was fighting at the other end of the arena over there. They had him roped. And so they hauled me out through the buck and shoots. And, St. Paul, they got the big grandstand. Big grandstand right there.
Grandstands right over there while the team ropers getting ready.
A standing ovation. I've never had that love team roping ever.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you want a standing ovation at St. Paul, you got to put it all on the line.
Yeah.
You can't do something pretty good.
They want to see blood over there.
You've got to leap into the way of a flying bell and just catch it with your forehead. And then you're
Who else is down there all the time? Shane Hanchey. I see Shane Hanchey's over there pulling ropes all the time, that dude.
Those guys are awesome. I'm
Cody Ohl was that way. Cody Ohl had some buck and bulls for a while.
Yeah. Cody had him with Scott Acamazo.
Yeah.
Wade's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your brother is Scott Acamazo?
No. He's a family friend.
He's our buddy. He grew up right down the road over here.
Yep. Scott, man, that guy had some real ones as far as calf horses back in the day.
Yeah, he did.
Sylvester used to come over and give him
really
lessons.
Nothing that Acamazo family does that isn't.
Top notch.
Yeah, they did some good stuff. Yeah.
Well, the Tolleson-Mack, it's a funny story how the name come about, because when I first met Brandon and I started coming over here to help him break in his steers and stuff, he was talking about like what was it like roping in the Tolleson-Mack and stuff, you know. And you know, one of them days I showed up, he's like, "What's it like roping in the Tolleson-Mack?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
so that's how the whole name come about.
It's a good name. Like when you say it, it sounds like Thomas.
You come into the
solid.
Tolleson-Mack. That's how it all. You know, when we come.
It doesn't
break
get any
history,
bigger in the
come to
industry. If you get
Tolleson-Mack.
invited to do the podcast, you drop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, I almost didn't get here today, and here's why. I looked at your text message yesterday, and I thought you said on the 4th. So I'm like, Friday, got it, no big deal. It's in my book. I'll show you right now. So he texted me today, and I read it again. He said at 4. I'm like, oh god, I almost messed up my Thomas and Mack appearance.
Right?
Well, it was the hottest time of the day, so I know you wouldn't be roping at 4.
You got that right. I'm the only guy in Arizona that doesn't have a tan, son. I'm staying inside. I got lights. I will go out and rope when it's dark. Still hot, but at least it's dark. So when you were doing the steer deal, where were you? Was it natives or Mexicans, or what did you
I
have?
had both, but mostly natives. I bought from Bob Burris up in Prescott. I'd buy all his, and then I did with Troy Shelley's and Jack Fuller in the summer, do the World Series.
Sure.
And,
Pro rodeos.
I did pro rodeos at Houston. I did Tucson, and I did the Survey twice.
It's a Freudian slip. He's got Houston on his site. He didn't mean to announce it. You heard it first.
happening.
You heard it
It's
first, ladies and
happening.
gentlemen.
Yeah, so I worked for those guys down there, and
We're getting the bull wagon shined up as we speak.
so I'm a farmer. And so I do is farm, and you know, when I was in the steer doing that, and I got to kind of meet people, and Cesar's opened a lot of doors for me in that world. Got me into all the pro rodeos and Tanner, and meeting a lot of people. So I was like, I thought about doing this podcast, and there's no better guy to have than Cesar at Cruz. You know,
Yes. No, I completely agree. I haven't told you guys this. I'm gonna try to recruit him for Flatbed. I hope that's cool.
because I catch myself.
We'll rent him out. We'll leave some like a steer.
Hey, I know how that goes. Pretty soon, everyone's like, Jordan, listen, we appreciate you showing up. But if you don't mind, if you could just off frame it, maybe turn that microphone down just a little bit. We'll just let
And that's kind of my job. Like, I don't talk too much because when these guys start talking to the guests, so Cesar knows them and Brandon asks good questions, I get myself kind of caught just watching the podcast happen live, you know. So then they ask me, and I'm kind of, what, you know. So like,
I love those podcasts when you're like, there's this feeling. I've had a few of them where I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting to sit in the room for this.
yeah,
Shay Hillenbrand.
I know I'm asked to participate. I get that, but like, if I was a listener, I would love this so much,
Yeah.
and to get to be a part of it, man. Those are rare.
Yeah.
They don't happen all the time, but when they do, man, they're
Yeah, we had a guy in here, Shay Hillenbrand, all-star from the Diamondbacks from Boston. And I mean, he played a lot of baseball. I think he made, what, $20 million in the pros? Bought a zoo, lost it all, tried to kill himself.
I think they made a movie about that, right? Like a dude that bought a zoo and then.
Yeah, I don't think it was
him?
Shay, though.
yeah,
It wasn't Shay.
yeah,
It wasn't
Because it didn't
Shay.
end good.
yeah. No, it was a bad.
Well, like
deal.
we started the podcast, and you know, we get rolling kind of like this, and we're bullshitting with Shay, and then the next thing you know, this dude starts, and all three of us are like,
we didn't say nothing for like an hour.
"You say
He's
nothing,"
got a crazy story, man.
and that dude
crazy
just
story.
rolled.
I didn't know. So when I met him, he had a feed store, and then I watched him play baseball on TV. So I was a fan. And then for about 10 years, I didn't see him. So then when we started this podcast, I just reached out and said, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? Well, I didn't know he was a professional speaker now. And
Yeah.
so we got him in here, and it went from 0 to 150. They were all looking at me like I knew. I was like, I didn't know none of this. And it was cool though.
I'm gonna tell you,
It was
anybody
really cool.
that's ever in their lifetime owned a giraffe and an ape,
Yeah.
they probably have
Yeah.
some knowledge, right?
Yeah.
He
buy
had
a-
some
you
giraffes.
buy a zoo.
Yeah.
I'll tell you mine, Matt Cohen.
Matt Cohen.
So for years, Matt Cohen was a man, right? And his episode's coming out this month. And when I reached out to him, I really didn't know what had been going on, right? I knew like him and the PRC had their deal. He said he's going to be in Arizona. I'm like, where? I'll come to you. We've been talking about doing a podcast forever since before the deal, right? He's like, I'm going to be in Taylor, Arizona. Well, Taylor, Arizona, as you guys know, is like the biggest amateur rodeo open rodeo ever. So I call him. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Here's where I'm staying. Meet me in the lobby. I'm like, all right, good. So I asked the people, I'm like, do you guys mind if we set up? You know, it's quiet. So I'm sitting there in the lobby, and like the last time I saw Matt Cohen, he was Matt Cohen, right? He walks in, his beard is like long and it's gray, and he's like humble and he's quiet and he's thoughtful, and like his demeanor's different. And I'm like, I wasn't ready, right?
Yeah.
Because I literally think the last time I saw him was in the arena at St. Paul, and his life has changed so much, and his demeanor with it. Like I was sitting there listening to him, and I was having that moment of like,
Wow.
I feel like honored that I even get to sit in the room and listen to it, much less be able to take that and then like,
Yeah.
so those are, man. And if it wasn't for the podcast, what was I going to do? Hey, do you mind just coming and talk to me for 4 hours in the lobby of a roadway? You know,
That's probably my favorite part about it.
Yeah.
I mean, getting to meet cool people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like we talk about it too. It's like we work a lot, you know, and this is my couple hours a week we do like once a week. We come in here and do it. And about 2 hours, we sit in here and we get to talk to these cool people and just kind of just my therapy, I guess. You know what I mean?
right.
So
It's got to be cheaper
I don't
than a therapist,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
maybe
so.
maybe slightly less efficient, far cheaper. It's kind of balances
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
we got some plans. I have a horse in a fraternity deal, and we're gonna go to Oklahoma to the Lazy E. And,
What's his name again, Brandon?
He's Love the Ladies.
Love the ladies.
Yeah, he's a Frenchman's guy.
And
so,
you're going to the Platinum Medal?
yeah.
Shout out Billy Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to see how that goes because
Yeah.
it's the only one like it. And again, probably insider baseball. Probably shouldn't say names. I just know that there's people who've reached out to him because Billy and I are buds, and like that idea has the chance to maybe spread from there.
Yeah.
So I hope it goes great.
We bought the horse, and I bought the horse, and Tanner's been riding him and stuff. But it's to me, I just want to see my horse do good. I've never rode the horse, never will, and like I just
Easy.
So let Tanner go
you
and do
don't know
thing.
that you never. Hey,
Well, I'm just
let me
saying.
tell you
He's
about
a
one of
unit,
my
dude.
favorite
He's a
people.
unit.
One of my favorite people. He passed away a couple years ago. His name was Leif Gilbertson. Lived there in Powell Butte. You drive by his place. He's a farmer. He's an alfalfa farmer. He had cut off denim shorts, flip flops, no shirt. He looked like he was carved out of wood. Long hair, and he was just jamming on his headphones to AC/DC. This dude had like muscle cars. He was the coolest dude ever. I loved him. I missed that guy so much. But he did everything on horseback. So he would just lope around and move his sprint. So if
That's
you're a
cool.
farmer and you've got a horse, you go, I'm never going to ride. Now, hang on.
Yeah, maybe.
You may look like, a river runs through it out there someday moving pipe on
Yeah,
Love the
never know.
Ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to Scottsdale, and we're gonna go to Oklahoma, and then we're gonna go to Fort Worth, and just see what happens.
That's right.
Yeah, and
How old's the horse this year?
4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some incentives on top of that.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna try it on, and seeing your story with your horse, I think that's one of the coolest things. I mean, that's what I'm shooting for, something like that one day.
Your horse went to lightning, didn't it?
Yeah. How controversial y'all want to get?
Well, I mean, we're here.
That's
We're
what
here.
I like.
I'm going to tell y'all a series of facts. And when I tell you a series of facts, I'm just going to leave it up to y'all to connect the dots. Does that sound fair?
Hold on.
Yeah, we like that.
That sounds
Okay.
fair. You don't want to write that down?
right.
Okay, let's write down the facts. We have said in this industry, when it comes to media, it is a horse story driven market.
Absolutely.
Would we agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would agree. I could see how when they write a story or a background story of a horse, it just spreads like wildfire, lets everybody feel like they got a part in it. Would you agree?
Yeah.
When someone is missing a foot, another fact. I don't know if you guys know this about Lightning. He's missing
Yeah.
his foot.
Yeah.
So when a guy who is missing a foot finishes in the top 15 in the world standings and rides the same horse all year, and there is no media coverage at
That's very true.
all. We got like a 15-minute podcast. You're telling me that like if I was
Yeah.
sitting at the Tolleson-Mack in Vegas
Yeah.
and they said, "Hey, this is what's going on," are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like and now here's the problem. Here's another fact. I'm too connected to the horse. So when I say it, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I bet you just
Yeah.
want all the
You
attention."
just want the attention.
I am a fan of that guy.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of that horse. He's a better horse with him than he was with me. I can
Yeah.
objectively say that horse was never going to be that with me. I told Charlie Crawford, I owned that horse for 4 years. And he never got nominated. Right?
Yeah.
So for that horse to go win Horse of the Year, somebody please explain to me how we're getting accurate, objective information in the team roping world when people will suppress stories because it doesn't line up with their subscriptions. BS. And I'm on record as saying it. And I know I'm going to get hate. It's not that I hate anybody. It's not that. It's that they kept that story from the public
Yeah.
when it would have been the number one
For
story
sure.
of the year.
But I think that
Absolutely.
this is what these kind of things, your podcast, us. I mean, because it doesn't matter to us if we piss the PRC
Yeah.
off. You
Well,
know?
I'll tell you another thing. The biggest problem that horse had, I'll tell you, this is my favorite story about that horse. I had an idea of who I wanted him to be. And when I got him, he was gentle, like he's kind of like a ranch horse, and they maybe teamed up some on him or something. I'm not saying I did all the work. Oh, he's 6 years old. But I had this idea of what I wanted that horse to be. And the problem was, it's just not who he was. I wanted to be able to run in there. I wanted him to stay straight. I wanted to be able to run in there and rope. I wanted him to slow his feet down. I wanted him to ease cattle out there because he was big. That horse weighs like 1,450 pounds. He's huge. He's a monster. He looks like a bucking horse. We had him get out one time, and some barrel racer comes around and goes, "One of the bucking horses got out." I'm like, nah. He wasn't that horse. When you would rope, he'd cock just a little bit, and he would run, and I was like, I'm going to fix him. So I spent a long time, like roping slow steer, slowing down, rope slow steer, slow. His throttle would get stuck open. So he'd be running across there. You want him to slow down. He just wouldn't do it. So my stupid self, I decided one day, I'm like, I've had enough. I'm just pulling him to a stop. Now, he's a gentle horse. He's easygoing. He's really laid back. I'm pulling, and he's running, and I'm pulling, and pretty soon he just hits on his front end, rears straight up in the air, does it again, rears straight up in the air. And I'm telling you, you feel like you're riding a mountain when you're doing this, right? So I go from mad to scared, and I'm like, now I'm just trying to hang on, right? And when he lands after like the fourth one, he's just quivering, just shaking. It's the first time in my life, before or since, I've ever said the words, I'm sorry, to a horse. But I did. Because what I realize is I am forcing him into a position he's never going to be.
Yeah.
And that's on me. He's a racehorse on both sides. And I don't mean like barrel racing horse. I mean, he's a racehorse on both sides of his breed. No one in his lineage has ever had to slow down or turn.
Yeah.
Like, so you're asking him to do something that goes against his paperwork. So I said, I'm sorry. And I meant it. That was crazy. I actually meant it. Because I'm like, this is not a you problem, this is me problem. So from that day forward, I'm like, all right, here's the deal. You go as fast as you want. There's a couple little things we need, but if I know that's what you are, let's go. Lightning gets him. Now, Lightning's had this issue with horses. See, you can back me up if I'm right or wrong.
They want a duck.
They want a button hook. They don't want a duck. They want $1. They don't want a quarter. They want $1.
Yes.
That horse runs, but when he runs, he just widens. He doesn't duck. You watch that horse, he never ducks. So the thing that made me so mad at him, he gets to go to a place where that's who he is, and he gets to do that every single day and wins Horse of the Year.
And do you think because you say he goes like, he widens up, and that's good because Dustin is kind of known to throw,
Lightning,
known to throw.
Yeah, his horsepower,
what I mean?
I've kind of watched him. I followed his career. He's a great guy. But his horses will get short, rodeoing on them, day in and day out, and they're coming over the chutes with it. They want to get tight, but
It's
that
kind of
horse
like a good coach,
First
getting
style.
everything out of that player, right?
Well, kinda. I mean, if that player had a mental breakdown and cried on the field first, but that's
but most of them do.
Yeah.
so
Most of the good ones do.
I'll add to that because of his size, when he widens, he's not turned yet, and those steers are legal. You watch guys heeling behind Lightning, that horse is just widening, and those steers are legal.
just side passing is all he's doing.
That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
Now, if he does go ahead and turn, he keeps him on a tight rope. The thing that Lightning does is he will reach and everything's forward. So what he needs, they can widen, but he doesn't have, like for me, my left and right foot, I'm moving a horse's body according. Well, if he doesn't have that option, the second thing is that horse always faced. He's not able to get around and kick him around the way that someone else might. So that means every time you see that guy roping on a horse, he's doing it voluntarily.
He's missing his right foot.
That horse is giving it to him
Wow.
for free.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anytime I think about
That is
horse,
something that
Yeah.
should be brought up.
Hell yeah.
that
Horse
was
of
best,
the year.
that was the best story in rodeo last year.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
Hands down. So tell me, if you're in the team roping business and you made sure that story didn't get out, are you really in the team roping business, or is this a corporation?
What do you? I mean,
Why would they do that?
what's your answer to that?
Most people know.
Well, now they know.
Well, that's good. It gets. I mean, yeah, that's to do all that with missing a leg. That's our foot. I mean,
Yeah, and he stops by like every time he goes to California. He stayed with me on the way to Vegas and stuff. And like, man, he gets the #1 stall. I go out there and pet him. Like, I feel like a little girl on Instagram. So I like to take pictures with him. Like, for all, I've never had a horse that I ever thought about running off of a cliff with me on him until that one.
yeah,
And to see it all turn around like it has. And like I said, I take no credit for what Lightning's done on him because
Yeah.
Lightning's just the man. But just to see it work, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the similar feeling of like you go through a breakup with somebody's like a good person, and then they go on to good things, and you're like, man, that's
good. Yeah,
They perfect fit. You couldn't have put a better horse than rider together.
Well, and it happened. Like I resigned from my job in July, and I was like, I'll just ride horses, outside horses, till I figure it out. So I resigned my job at the end of July. That horse wins Horse of the Year in October, and like filled my barn. I mean, the timing of that horse is still helping me.
Yeah.
Like in every way that he can, that horse is still helping me out. And so, man, I got just nothing but love for that guy and that horse.
my story with my horse is, I want to see the journey of this horse. It's only going to be a 4-year-old for this time. You know what I mean? So I want to try to put him out there as much as possible. In the right situations, of course. And we're taking, I think, the right approach. This, Tanner's doing a good job on him, but like I want to be there, and see what happens, and just see, they already got the horse at this point, and
I was watching the short round at Cheyenne the other day, and they set their arena record in saddle bronc riding. Did y'all see that?
Oh, yeah, I
92
did
and a
that.
half, 92 and a half. And like, as cool as that is, like to me, I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I'd love to see what's that horse doing. Like when they take his stuff off and turn him out again, he's about to get on the truck, or like when he gets home. Like I would love to know what a horse that can do that on the stage.
Yeah.
What's he do at his house or like with his friends, and like as he's trotting around back there and getting fed. Like what's his personality?
Is he getting
like?
Beat up?
Like is he the bottom or the top? Like is he the top of the pecking order? And like I think there are ways that we could effectively tell those kinds of stories that bring in new fans, because I'm big on that. Like exactly what you're saying about your horse, like the experience that you're getting to share with that horse. I think that's what it's going to take to bring in new fans. Yeah. And we crucify the best storytellers. Yeah. Or we suppress the best stories. Yeah. And you know, I don't know how many times you can hear the same stories, the same people told over and over again. But the guy that's up there in the bleachers that just bought a ticket, it's like, what's this all about? Man, we've got the best stories. Rodeo has the best stories in the world. Yeah. We've got the best culture. We've got the best industry. We've got the coolest animals. Like when you watch the Kentucky Derby, you go, well, you can't do it. You watch the Kentucky Derby, before the Derby starts, they've told you the story about all 20 horses, and you're sitting there like, man, I feel like I've been waiting on this for months. Yeah. We've just been watching for an hour. Yeah. It doesn't take long to do characters.
It's easy to get behind these animals and stuff. You don't have like a storyline.
What?
Yeah. Well, like when we were talking to Kirsten Bolt up there at Prescott, she was telling us about them bucking horses, and to listen to her talk about bucking horses, it sounds like you talking.
They got bulls, but she was talking about her horses.
Yeah, she ain't really give a shit.
I was at Steiner's one time when she was bucking some of her colts, and I think the story that gets missed there is they bucked 80-something horses something that day. 2 or 3 of them bucked. Wow. So when you see a horse at a rodeo, you don't understand how many horses are standing behind that horse at her place that didn't make the cut. Yeah. They had a big roan, big long mane and tail. His feet look like dinner plates. Like you look at him and you're like, that's a bucking horse. And so we were about to leave. I was like, man, I want to stay because this horse just fills the shoes. Like this horse is going to kill this guy, right? I was so excited. I'm like, we're about to watch the next horse of the year. This is going to be so exciting. So I was like, I'm all amped up, right? And he's kind of doesn't make it. And I'm like, man, so when you see like a Night Jacket or a Grady Coconut or, you know, Chugalator, all these horses, like they're 1 out of 500. And we're just watching them over and over and over again at a rodeo. Well, if you don't know that, you're like, another bucking horse. That's great.
Yeah, she was telling us that Clayton's Bigelow's draw that night. She was putting back on the truck and sending it.
It was like, it's one like a horse of the year.
Yeah, horse of the year. I can't remember the horse.
All kind of stuff.
But she just said, she's just a little off. She said she's fighting in the chute a little more, and then
uncharacteristics. She can tell. Time to go home.
I mean, how long does that take somebody to spin with bucking horses?
You can say what you want to say. I'm telling you, there is a woman's intuition on things like that men don't have. And I know it's a male-dominated thing, but I promise you, if she says it, I believe it, because that women's intuition is like, it's to me.
And there was no question about it. Yeah, that horse was getting on the truck and going home. Nobody was talking to her about it. It wasn't nobody else's call.
She's mama bear.
It was supposed to go to Salt Lake. It was supposed to go to Salt Lake. She's like, no, he's going to go to the ranch.
Yeah, going past.
Yeah, I'd love to be the guy who's like, what I think, and she's like, shut up. That's my baby.
It's pretty cool to watch her in the back over there, because, like, you know, I spent a lot of time in the rough stock spot. But Kirsten, she's the boss back there, man. She's directing, loading, you know, telling them guys, hey, load the bucking horse. She's on the front right there, lining them up the way they're supposed to.
She don't take no credit, but she's a hell of a shooter.
She's badass, dude.
She looks over and there's Cesar in a helmet, just
chin strap,
ready to go in case the bull gets out or something.
She shakes her head every time I go over there. Damn.
Hey, I made a deal. Speaking of which, I just made a deal with Trisha Price, so we're going to see if she does it. But I told her I would personally fund all of her drinking at Pendleton this year if she would wear. I know, I'm saving up. If she would wear a rough stock vest and a helmet on the infield after the wreck last year.
She needs it. She needs it. That was a pretty good wreck.
Hey, listen,
tell the listeners about it.
It's never a bad thing to, you know, safety is important.
Safety is key.
Explain to the listeners about the wreck.
I can tell you in 5 seconds.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
It's like if somebody saw a train coming and went, and just ran down the tracks to get away from it until like 30 seconds later it eventually caught up. All she had to do was step off the tracks. In the infield last year, the bucking horse goes this way, she goes that way, and then the horse comes back, and she's just running. And I joke that she's the first person to pick up bucking horses in Pendleton on foot.
She wins. Hey, over there in Pendleton, they like the contestants to stand around the timed event stuff, because they have little holes and little things right there for the eyes, and they will clear you out. The bucking horses will clear you out, and you have to pay attention, have your head on a swivel over there.
You have to be prepared at a moment's notice to throw your friend in the way.
You don't have to be the fastest. You
Yeah,
just
you're
gotta
the
swim
smartest.
him.
No, that's exactly right.
Trisha was definitely the slowest friend.
Yeah,
that day.
Trisha was the shield.
So
The very ineffective shield that didn't slow the bucking horse down, but created some really good social media content.
You were telling us earlier that you live over in Upper Whitman, so you're pretty close to Wickenburg there.
I don't remember saying it that way, but yeah, we're all like, we're
They've added
between,
the upper part.
Surprise and Wickenburg. Yeah, the studio's in Wickenburg, and then we ride horses there in Whitman.
Okay, cool. So we always talk about Wickenburg, kind of being the team roping capital of the world and everything that's going on over there. And I personally think they should just give Ty a key to the place and let him do what he needs.
Have they not?
No, they haven't, man. That guy's kind of got to fight at every turn. I mean, everything I
would hate to be on the opposite side of an intellectual battle with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's good for
Golly,
sure,
Lord.
and he gets a lot of shit done. But what do you think? What do you see like in the future of Wickenburg? I mean, just growing, more arenas coming up there. What like?
So
I mean, you're kind of right there in the Mecca.
we'll see how it goes. I just got asked to be on a steering committee for the Matrix, and the Matrix is a company that's been hired to help with the planning for the next 10 years for the city of Wickenburg. They're going to have a steering committee. I guess it's between 8 and 10 people over the course of the next year to make a recommendation to the city as far as planning and zoning. That town's in a weird battle right now for an identity because it's like anything, right? Like Wickenburg is like no place else in the world, but people are just the same. And I think the trick would be that you don't want to calm the enraged by enraging the calm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think if you're not careful, that what can happen is the people who complain the loudest end up running the city. And then, so like if my daughter's 11 years old, and she said, "Dad, I want to drive to Phoenix," me telling her no is not what she wants, right? But I'm saying that because I see where it goes. And I think there's a crowd of people on both sides of the argument going on in Wickenburg right now that really believe they could make it to Phoenix, but they don't put any thought into where that could go. And so, my hope is the first recommendation to me is that you do an economic development study, because that's data. You cannot.
You should do that no matter what.
Well, period. And without data, it's just an opinion, right? You're guessing. So if the city would do a comprehensive economic development study and say, this is where our money comes from, these are our expenses, what you don't want to do in a town like Wickenburg is inadvertently sever an artery.
Right.
And, if they find out that 90% of their income is coming from outside the city and then, outside the state, and then they take measures that would eliminate that, what you're going to end up with, what we had in Oregon was logging towns that die. And I don't think people that have ever witnessed a town dying forget it. The businesses close down, the schools close down, the education goes away, the drugs go up, and I think there are people that are hoping for their agenda to go through, not realizing what that would do. And then, we sit here, we're all reasonable people, and we're like, no, there shouldn't be any restrictions. And we don't consider that there's some dillweed that's going to move 90 horses onto half an acre. And we're like, well, we didn't expect that. So I don't think that in the city of Wickenburg, I don't think it's quite hit its stride yet. I think it's maybe overcorrected. You want an even scale. I think of myself as being maybe more centrist. Like, if you think of it like a train, for a train to actually have freedom and go where it needs to go, it depends on really rigid rails. The Arc de Triomphe in Paris, it's this big tarmac that goes in a circle and people run into each other because there's no lanes. So when somebody comes in and starts talking about restrictions, those restrictions are what give you freedom. It lets you know what you can do and what you can't do. Timothy Keller used to say that for a fish to enjoy its life, you have to restrict it to water. If a fish is like, no way, I'm going to the yard, you're like, okay, you can go lay on the yard, but your freedom's gone. We didn't restrict you, but your freedom's gone. And so trying to find, what ways restrict fish to water in a town like that's unique without severing an economic artery. And, I think over the next year, it's going to be kind of an interesting process.
So do you think it's because of the city of Wickenburg, they might maybe build more communities and have it more like people live there full time and not take care of the winter people that come in? Is that what you're saying? Like they need to cater to the outside money?
Listen, I'm an outsider. Like I said, I got asked to be on a thing and I don't even know if I'm going to be. So I might just be some dude in the sidelines, right?
But what you're saying is they need to remember where their money coming from, which is mostly out of state, coming into more.
Here's my whole point. Without a comprehensive economic development study, everyone's guessing.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I think.
I 100% agree with that. I think that's the the best thing that you said is it needs an economic development study. I mean,
Every economic development study does this. It exposes secrets that we didn't realize, right? So if we have
exposes
that
a
data,
lot of things people didn't realize.
and so what they said was, well, the hotel did it. I'm like, dude, I've worked with economic development studies with hotels. We ran event centers that we dealt with heads and beds taxes. Like, I'm fairly versed in that. A hotel does not do a comprehensive economic study. They look at, can their business profit based on how things are? And they said yes. What they did not do is their biggest problem right now in Wickenburg is the unused business buildings, and they want retails. Like, good luck. There are restaurants right now that shut down in the summer because there's not enough economy to support them during the summer.
It's 118 degrees.
I'm not going. So like I say, all pasty and white in July. But I, like I said, if you can get charts and data and graphs and things like that, then when somebody comes in and goes, we need to run these horse people out of town, you're like, you don't know what you're asking for. And when somebody comes in and goes, I should be able to put 90 horse on half an acre. No, it's not that either. But you don't want to just cater to the squeaky.
Absolutely.
No one is good without the proper tools. And I think an economic development study is a great tool. Like when we decided to move to Deming, that's what they did. I mean, those economic development studies break down to, we're going to need to hire in this town 6 more waitresses if this company comes in, or it's going to sell this much more gas at the gas stations and all of these things. And like you said, you know, you can't just be like, oh, well, it's a team rope and capital of the world. We got to do it this way because we all want to. Well, yes, we all want to do that, but you're right. Somebody's going to always come in and put 90 horses on a half an acre.
Which hurts the team rope.
Right, that's what I mean. Screws everything up.
Yeah. And so, you know how many economic development studies Wickenburg has done? Ever?
Talk to me.
None?
One would be too many.
Wow.
They have never done one.
Wow.
So everybody's going blind.
In all fairness, though, to Wickenburg, on the flip side of that, they've never really had to, right? It's a new deal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Ty came in there, and then once Ty was in there, man, then everybody else came, and they all kind of followed. And
well, let me give you an example of the hurdles that they're facing. So we run the 1017 project,
which we definitely want to talk about that.
We're working on an event in November that would make sure that everybody in the city of Wickenburg has food on Thanksgiving. We're giving away 5,000 pounds of hamburger. We're working at the food banks. We're working with the churches. We're working with the team roping community. We're working with the sponsors of the podcast. We want there to be a day where everybody gets to go home. And when the 1017 project started, before it started, we had a day where we were going to like drive around and give out frozen turkey baskets for Thanksgiving and, you know, just wear our arms out, patting ourselves on the back. And so we drive around, and so many of the families that we met, this is years ago, we're living in an RV and we're handing them an 8-pound frozen turkey. And what I wish they would have said was, you douchebag. What am I going to do?
What am I going to do with this frozen turkey?
They didn't. They were so nice, and I was so embarrassed. So when we started the 1017 project, we were like 1 pound and a half package of hamburger. By doing that, you can have a microwave, you can have a stovetop, you can have a campfire. It's usable to anybody, right? Yeah. So that's a business that we run. Last year, we gave $744,000 worth of hamburger away in 2022. So then we look at it this year. We've relocated to Wickenburg. Wickenburg is going to be the home of the 1017 project. We're there. Why? It's team roping capital of the world. It's where we go. Now, if Wickenburg makes an effort to stifle that, which, to be clear, they will. They're not going to. I just don't see it going that way. But this is the mindful type stuff. We've got offers in other places that we could go. I want to be in Wickenburg because of what Wickenburg is. Yeah. So I feel like I've got vested interest in seeing it preserved, not to go too far left or too far right. I look at it as driving down the road. There's a saying that the devil sends failure into the world in pairs. You ever heard this? Because he depends on you hating this kind of failure so much that you'll overcorrect into this one. And so I think we've got a task.
He sends you to the wrong one.
Yeah, like you see the one you hate and you overcorrect into the one you can tolerate, but failure is failure, right? And so I think that the trick, this is a long answer to a short question, but I think maybe the trick in Wickenburg, where I see it going, is figuring out what it means to stay in the lanes. And, you know, nobody needs to feel like the town is enforcing anything that would cause them to move. You know, I mean, if people are like, I don't like this, well, that's the trick to a good compromise. Everybody leaves equally pissed.
Yeah.
So as long as it's kind of somewhere to do it.
Hauser built.
Hauser built.
Yeah.
Okay, what do they do?
Like the retriever truck beds?
Okay, Hauser.
So, you know, like when you get,
like when you get a dump.
if you buy a stack of
Okay.
hay from
Yeah,
whoever
yeah.
bales, and then they come with they haul one, you know, it grabs from
Sure,
the bottom
yeah,
and
yeah.
puts on top of the truck.
That's
my family is the owners and vendors of that.
Come on, how many
Yeah.
podcasts do I want to get behind?
I don't know.
No, I'm playing. I'm
They're
messing.
dang sure behind this one.
That's how do they find them?
Hauserbuilt.com.
Hauserbuilt.com.
Are they on social media?
Yeah.
Everywhere. They're everywhere. But man, how about just that design? Kevin came up with that design because it was always
Your family
shitty.
invented that design?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so New Holland came to
You
my
don't
uncle.
tell me how to rich friends.
So, well, I mean, he's cool friends. He's a farmer. But
So New Holland came to him when he designed it because it was almost exact same New Holland. You know, they make everything.
Yeah.
You know, the big. So they made this pretty much design, but he copied or he did his deal, and he made the design just a little bit better, a little bit more
Yeah.
convenient. He put a cylinder on where they had to get out and crank it, so he just put that couple cylinders on. And he patented it, and they came to him like, "Fuck, we should have thought of that." Hey, I want to buy it.
He's like, I would agree, but since you didn't, let's talk.
And they offered him like it's like $2 million, and that was back in the day. And he's like, you know what? I think I have something. I want to see my name on something. So Hauser Built it is, and he's probably made like 350 of them. And
That's right.
But I mean, we're not
Pretty
just saying
fast.
this because the guy sponsors
Yeah.
the podcast. Obviously, it's his cousin.
You
but
could
I mean,
drive to
that
every
is
farm.
100% the best retriever.
Well, if
truck.
he sold that many of them, then
Yeah.
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 So here's what I know, Cesar. I'm going to tell you because I just said it about Brandon. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm going to hand it to you guys, and you guys use it if you ever want. Every single person, no matter how it's true or not, every single person, not one person I've ever met, ever likes to be called rich. So right, oh, you're rich? No, I'm not. Like, you could literally talk to the dude that owns Teton and be like, oh, must be nice to be rich. Like, no, I'm not. Like,
I want to be called
it is
rich,
instantly,
man.
instantly be like, oh, it's not. I mean, it's all right. Like, it is one of my favorite things to do without people knowing that's the premise is to call them rich and just watch them be like, no, but even when it's like, we all knew it wasn't news. You just don't like talking about it.
If you called me rich, I'd be like, yeah, I am, man.
Someday,
just rich with knowledge.
someday, I want somebody to be able to call me that without everybody else in the room laughing.
Well, let's get back to what we were talking about. 1017 project.
Yes, sir.
I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about it.
So there was not anything like it when we started it, right? Like we looked around, we said, if we're going to do this, I was pastor of a church. The church was just blowing up, and it was like affecting my mental health. I hated pastoring. I love the people. I hated pastoring. I'm not really like what you call maybe a church person. I'm a pastor of a church, right? So instantly you tell people you're a pastor and everybody's like, oh, then I can assume, and then fill in the blanks with things that weren't true. So we were going to have an arena, and we'd done this before where you lease the steers for $40 a month. At the end of that lease, you give them back, right? So basically that guy that owns those steers is sending you a diminished product. You're feeding it for all these months, adding weight to it. You're sending him back an increased value, and it costs you nothing, you get nothing back. So the hope is you can rope that out of them. Like you have jackpots or practices or whatever. So I got thinking, I'm like, well, if we're going to do that, why wouldn't we just bet against the house, right? Like, why wouldn't we just be the house? Why wouldn't we buy the steers, do all the things that people do? Because like cowboy churches were a big deal back then, right? And I don't ask me about cowboy churches. I don't know where I'm at on it. My family's in the business. But if we bought them, then if we're going to give them back anyway, instead of giving them back to somebody else, why wouldn't we then donate them and like feed people in the community? We're giving them back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how educated we were. And I'm embarrassed to say this. We called a couple of the food banks in town that we didn't know. Because like I said, we'd started with the frozen turkeys. Obviously that didn't work for the people we were trying to have an effect on. Called the food banks and we said, hey, maybe this is a stupid question. You know, we really don't know, but like, would hamburger help you guys? Every single food bank said, we never have hamburger. We give peanut butter away as protein. So we're like, okay, well, that seems like a good sign. We started in 2014, and we've done everything from the cows, raising calves, buying natives, trying to raise our own, all the stuff what we settled on was we were buying Mexican roping steers. We were importing them. We were dealing with Sanchez. Beers live right there. So if he had extra cattle, we'd buy from him. We had the steers at St. Paul, Eugene, all the big rodeos in the Northwest, not Pendleton, but like, we had the team roping cattle at the American one year. The year that Peyton Bray and Eric Rogers won the American, that was our steer. So I was at the Bray's house a while back, and like my steer's still sitting up there with our brand on it.
Yeah.
But it started working, and instantly what you realize is like if you're feeding a cow and you're feeding a calf, but you're only making money back on the steers, that's expensive. So you're better off just to buy the steers. So we started, instead of raising our own, we started buying steers, and we just began to work on how to make that more efficient. And so it grew and grew and grew. At one point, like when you run our data, back to data, when we run our data, what we realized is like, hey, by the time it's all said and done, we had the NTR opens at our place up there that were like hugely successful. We got complaints from a World Series producer 350 miles away because we were dragging, entries away from him. And I mean, I know the Northwest a little bit, but 350 miles away, we felt like it was,
Yeah.
no hard feelings or anything. I'm just saying it was having an impact. It was doing good. circuit rodeos, practice cattle. We had lease steers. We had the whole deal. But we got to run in the numbers, and what we realized is we're like $7 per pound. Well, that's stupid. We're killing ourselves off. It's $7 a pound. Why wouldn't we just go to the store and buy it? You know, the national average for hamburgers like $5.60 at the time or whatever. So we started trying
exactly what it is right now.
Yeah. So we started trying to figure out, like, okay, maybe we knock our numbers back a little bit, because the culture of the project is still a team roping community. We still have rope and steers. We had a lot of people that were donating rope and steers. At the end of the year, like our biggest day one fall, like in the Northwest, you know, everything shuts down and nobody has grass, and so they're like, that's hard to sell cattle. We had 38 head donated one time. We had a good relationship with our butcher. We were in 47 different food banks, after school programs, women's shelters, places that were handing out food. And when people go, well, like, is it church related? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, if you make food available to people who need it, we're here for you. But we couldn't afford to donate the steer and then pay for the cut and wrap. So what we said was, if you will go raise the cut and wrap cost, we'll donate the steer, we'll meet you in the middle. What that did for them was it gave them a fundraising outlet also. So they could go to their funders and go, hey, we could get hamburger. They'll donate the steer, we can get it cut and wrapped. So we drove our margins down a little bit with that. I think they'd be okay with me saying it. I assume they do. But we signed with like some big beef companies in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And so now most of the cattle, we still get the donations. We still butcher those. We still do that. That's still part of it. But when we went to bulk, where we're donating like hundreds of thousands of pounds, we've partnered with a couple different places around the nation that have got beef that they can supply to us for cheaper. So now our number is $2 a pound. We can put a pound of hamburger in a food bank for $2 a pound. The national average, like I said, $5.60. So even if somebody came in and goes, well, I think Jordan's a douche, but I'll do it myself. It's going to cost them, first of all, I agree. That's probably true. But second of all, it's going to cost them $5.60 a pound to do what we can do for $2.
Yeah.
$2 a pound is under cost.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, sitting here knowing exactly what it is, and it's under cost. So, yeah. I mean, that's a hell of something you put together.
Well,
my hat's off to you on that. That's pretty amazing.
I first saw you were in the Team Roping Journal. You guys had an article about it a couple years ago, and I seen that. It was pretty cool.
Fairness, I know I said what I said about the Gray Horse, and I stand by that. But like in the beginning, Chelsea was like a huge support, and like shout out to her personally. Mm-hmm. I know that she publishes what she's allowed to publish and stuff like that. Like I get that. Yeah. But she was a huge support. Had us on the podcast a couple times and stuff. And so Chelsea was like a big supporter of that in the beginning.
Yeah. She definitely knows her horses. She knew every horse when she came on ours, huh?
Oh yeah, she did. She knew lots of horses. So that 1017
I wish Lightning was a part of roping.com, so she'd have been allowed to write an article about it.
So that 1017 project, I mean, obviously you're moving forward with it in Wickenburg. You were saying there's some kids up there that need some help. And
I would hate to officially say the number because I need to do some research. But the last I'd heard, there was somewhere between 40 and 60 kids.
If there's one, it's too many.
That's exactly right. But there's somewhere between 40 and 60 kids in the city of Wickenburg that are considered homeless. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have a shelter. It means they either don't have running water or electricity or septic. One of the qualifiers. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about is the thought, like the top of the mountain thought that how cool would it be if the team roping capital of the world was able to eliminate food insecurity by giving beef to the people who live in our town, right? Yeah. Like when you ask team ropers, like, what's our town? They could live in Maryland. They go, well, our town's Wickenburg. Mm-hmm. Right. I think it would be the coolest thing in the world if we could eliminate food insecurity in our town. Yeah. Now, we could do that without partnering. We could just raise the budget to just give it away with nothing as far as cut and wrap or anything like that. We could partner with them to absolutely accomplish that. Because one of the things that I think is happening right now, it's my personal philosophy is that poverty is hidden. It's not visible. Everybody sees a hungry kid. I can't name one person that I know, good or bad, that could look at a hungry kid and be like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Everybody feels compelled by that. What they will say is, why are we feeding people? They need to get a job. And I'm like, listen, douche, what about their kids?
Yeah.
Their kids didn't sign paperwork to go live in a meth house.
Yeah.
So if you're going to starve a kid to prove a point to the parent, we don't want you to be a part of it anyway.
Absolutely.
But that's not really the case very often. Generally, people go, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did not know. So if we can be a component that says, first of all, we'll connect the people who have it with the people who need it. We'll do it at a lower cost than what you could create for yourself. We're going to incorporate these businesses, these companies, where they can say, hey, like, we're a part of that initiative. Yeah. And in the end of that, whether it's this year, next year, or 10 years, if you live in Wickenburg, you're going to protect the team ropers because they take care of us. They feed our kids.
Yeah.
They care about us. They send us home with backpacks. Like the team roping community has actively seen us. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal to people that are not in poverty. They would listen to that and go, that doesn't seem like a big deal. If you are living in poverty, for someone to see you is one of the most dignifying things you can do.
Yeah.
So if the Team Open community will, see the problem, I know they'll act.
I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So when you're in these meetings and we're talking economic development studies and things like that and everything, I mean, do these kids get brought up? I mean, I know that it's important to figure out where we're putting the next arena or how we're going to,
Brandon, I can't stress this enough.
shit's bothering me.
Poverty is invisible.
That's what I mean.
That doesn't come up at city council meetings. It
Yeah.
doesn't come up with people that have money. It doesn't come up when they're talking about how to zone and plan. It is literally like living in a town with a ghost.
Well, my hat's off to you for this project because I mean, you have a platform. You know lots of people. You're getting involved in Wickenburg more and more, and you're probably going to bring some light to that. And I mean,
Well,
I think that's pretty
A
awesome.
lot of people talk about it, but actually to do what you're doing is
do
a
it,
hell of
yeah.
a thing.
Well, I hope, I don't know if this is true yet or not, but I hope at the end of the day that a qualified organization like 1017 can come in and actually solve a problem. Because if it's not us, who could do what we, and I'm not saying somebody else couldn't do something. I'm not saying that. I mean, you could write a check or do it, but like, because it's almost like a key in a lock that I look at what we are as a key and then I look at the lock and I'm like, this feels like this would unlock that problem. And so, like I said, I would love if people go like, we're never leaving Wickenburg. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And anytime somebody comes in and tries to destroy the culture, we're going to defend it. Because like I said, I've got active offers to move what we're doing other places, but it's home for me. I love Wickenburg.
Yeah.
I've lived everywhere. Wickenburg's home. And so the thought that like on a Friday night, you can go to a football game and see kids that are like literally benefiting from like a contribution you've made. I would love that. I would absolutely love, not because of what it says about me, but because of what it says about us. We are a generous culture. We have been forever.
Yeah.
And if you can introduce the problem to the solution.
And being called Team Open Capital of the World, it's a no-brainer. It should be that.
Yeah, we shouldn't have people hungry. And it's not like we're feeding them kale.
Yeah.
Cowboys. We've been responsible. You guys are farmers and ranchers. We've been responsible for feeding our country for however long. Like, we're feeding them beef, son. Like,
Yeah.
get in. Like, and not a pound of beef makes 4 meals. So with this event that I'm talking about in November, the old ladies that go to church in Wickenburg, you go, how can we help? Laminate a recipe, because there may be somebody that's never had to deal with a pound of hamburger. You go, that's crazy. Everybody's dealt with a pound. Bet.
Yeah.
Bet. You're talking to people who eat Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Or maybe like what you said, something
Cheetos.
different, microwave or an open flame.
But that's
or
what. So
something,
if we're gonna have the churches bring laminated recipes that says with this, these are your options. We've also put in maybe like a doily for your table or whatever they want to do. I don't care. What I don't want is I don't want to create an event that's like you're welcome.
Yeah.
I want to create an event that says we see
like
you.
a welcoming.
Yeah, we see you.
Yeah.
Like we're here. We acknowledge their needs. So while we're here, we want to act. And then when the team ropers all do what they do in the spring, the effect that they've left carries through the summer. And this is a year-round thing, and we can absolutely do it. Like I said, laminated recipes, boxes of noodles, canned foods, things like that. Everybody talks about we've had however many hundreds of thousands of pounds of of food donated. But you got to understand, like if you gave somebody 300 pounds of lettuce.
Yeah.
That's great, but what have you really done?
Yeah.
Not that it's nothing.
Yeah. No.
But
I got you.
they like bread. That's great. They need bread. Hamburger
Yeah.
is the one thing that is always missing in those equations. Nobody is donating hamburger. Now, since then, what's crazy about this is,
And the reason why is it's $5.60 a pound.
That's exactly right.
And you've put in the work and you have the knowledge to get that down to $2, because at the end of the day, the calculator is what matters to
it's data.
It's
Back to
data. I mean, it just gets back to it.
So can a guy, so it's $2 a pound. Can a guy come and get for this this project of yours? Can they just write a check for whatever to
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
There's other ways to do
If
it.
somebody wanted to donate 1,000 pounds of hamburger, you write a check for 2,000.
Yeah,
The
okay.
math's so easy on this. And you go to 1017project.com.
Okay.
Yep. And so, like, since then, what's been cool is that since then, there have been other projects that started up. Cody Johnson, during COVID, led worship at my uncle's church. And, like, they did a concert for the program they've started and stuff. And so, like, since then, there's been some other things that have started as a result that, like, man, it's having a ripple effect. Now, I will say this. I'm really proud of our numbers because I don't know anybody's even close. Like I said, I would be so embarrassed to bang the drum of fundraising if I could guarantee that a nickel from every dollar, come on.
Yeah.
Let me take $1. I'll turn it into $2.50.
Yeah.
Dad, I love that. And when someone's like, you can't do that, I'm like, bet, son. Come watch me.
I'll tell you the truth on it. Like when I bring you hamburger and say, "Oh, this is from our cattle or whatever," that cost me more than $2.50 a pound or $2 a pound to give it to you.
Yeah.
So again, it's amazing that you put that together, and I hope that going forward, Wickenburg kind of gets behind it because, like I said again, and I don't want to piss anybody off, but well, I really don't care, but like
You're supposed to say it anyway.
right. Like
No offense, no worries.
It's
Must be nice.
I'm not saying no worries. I hate saying that. I don't know, fuck. It just drives me nuts. But anyways, more arenas are great. All of this stuff's great. But if you don't take care of that town, it ain't gonna be there very long, right? So maybe you take care of one of those kids. It doesn't matter 1 or 20 or whatever the number is. You maybe take care of one of those kids that turns into a Cesar.
Yeah.
Or turns into a Brandon or a Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, my
Because
family,
they could.
we were below the poverty line
They
growing
could.
up.
I mean, Cesar tells the story. I mean, growing up in South Tucson. I mean, there's probably lots of times. I mean,
imagine how big Cesar could have been.
Right, exactly.
I blame us.
If you would have been giving the protein the whole time, the $2 pound hamburgers.
Well, like, you don't want a town that has a insufferable. Okay, so there's a study. That says that people who live with a manageable amount of suffering, in the end, are worse off than people who face insufferable amount of suffering they can't tolerate. And the reason for that is, if it's a tolerable amount of suffering, they'll stay forever. The minute they can't tolerate it, they move towards change.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you do not want a town that cannot live in its suffering. It's not good for anybody in society. Right.
Yeah.
Like the 10:17 is based on 1 Corinthians 10:17 that says we're all a part of the same thing. So when we see the waitress that's got kids struggling at home, when we see the guy at the dry cleaner that's not doing well, like he's just working for hourly wages and things like that, when you see the people at all these different places, I don't know how you see that and don't feel like we have a responsibility to it.
Yeah.
If that person's a person. Like if that was my kid or that was my daughter, like if my daughter was struggling to raise her kids, I would hope that somebody around her goes, hey, we see you,
Yeah.
right? So by doing that, you're actually preserving the culture of that town. And if we love it and want it to be home, it's even what's best for us. Like, I'm not going to pat myself on the back and go, did you get some of that? You're welcome. Like, I can't imagine anything more slimy.
Yeah,
What I'm
absolutely.
saying
Yeah, that would
is,
be worse. Yeah.
what I'm saying is, it's good for me to take care of the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
There's a study by Sebastian Junger. He's a social evolutionist, which whatever, but he was talking about the need to contribute versus the need to consume. And he compared it to like if you lived in a village and Cesar's the one that's really good. He's the best hunter. And every time he goes out hunting, he brings back food. Well, if we fall under attack, who are we going to protect?
Cesar.
Because he's what?
Our breadwinner.
The contributor.
Yeah.
If there's a guy over here that never lifts a finger and all he does is take, our village falls under attack, we'll give him to him. Take him.
Yeah.
Yeah, see
Now,
you
we
later.
know that. We listen to that. We know that's true, right? But what that also means is, as people, we are geared to gauge our value, not on what we're able to consume, but on what we're able to contribute. People feel safe when they are the contributors.
Yeah.
They feel at risk when they're the consumers.
Yeah.
Right? It's the reason nobody wants to be called rich, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be the biggest consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can find ways to contribute, it's not about who we're giving to. It's actually good for us to find ways to be a conduit so that there's more health in our circles around us. So
Makes a lot of sense. Do you remember when we had Shay on and he said about that talk when he was walking in the Ritz-Carlton and he said that guy just wanted to be seen. Remember that when he was telling us that? And that's kind of just what he just said about, like.
I had a
They wanna be
pastor
seen.
tell me one time, he was talking about same thing, homeless people on the corner asking for money. And, a lot of people, I'm not going to give that guy money. He's going to go buy drugs or he's going to go buy beer. I don't know what he's going to do. And that pastor said, you don't give him money for him.
right.
You give it because you can give it.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Well,
what
I
I mean?
remember.
And I remember that every single time.
I remember my years of pastoring, like knowing me now, I'm sure there's people who are like, huh? But I was a pastor. And that's one of the things I said is like, hey, if you cannot bring yourself to give to something, that's fine. Go take a $20 bill. Turns out this is a felony, so I had to take it back. Like, don't do this. But go take a $20 bill and just burn it because it decreases your attachment to it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so attached to something that it dictates how I live my life. I want to live my life with an open hand, because if you cut off a hose at one end, it cuts it off at both ends, right?
Yeah.
Like if I cut off from the ability for it to flow out, I've also cut off the ability for it to flow in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a case by case basis. Like if I see somebody on the street corner and I just have this like, I don't feel good about that. I don't want to be so legal that I'm like, nope, I have to. But like, I want to be sensitive to the idea that if I'm driving by somebody and I feel that like, hey, I don't care what you do with it. I want to be the guy that's so like open-handed enough that when I'm called to do something that I'm willing to do it. And not to your exact point. I want to be the guy that's so open on both ends that I'm free to give and I'm free to get. There's I don't know how nerdy you guys want to get, but there's a book called, what's it called? God-Shaped Brain by Timothy Jennings. And he talks about the for something to live, it has to breathe in, it has to breathe out. It's got to take in, it's got to take out. And that's part of what love is. Love is the ability to give and receive love. It's like a circuitry with electricity. When you turn on a light, what you've done is you've connected the circuitry, and electricity is what turns the light on, right? So that if you're not able to receive love, you've now ultimately harmed your ability to give love. And if you're not willing to give love, you detach from this side, you're detaching from your ability to get love. And so you look at water. It's the water is the thing on our planet that allows for life, right? The ocean gives water vapor to the clouds. The clouds give rain to land. Land gives water to the plants, animals, rivers, and then gives it back to the ocean. That's a circuitry. And that's what gives life to our planet. If you look at, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. That's the circuitry. If that gets severed, the result of that circuitry being severed is death. So, for instance, if I breathe in and then I say, that's my air, I earned it, I deserve it, I'm keeping it, the same air that gave me life turns into poison and starts to cause death. My willingness to participate in the circuitry is what allows me to be alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So so when someone's like, I'm not giving anybody anything, you're like, dude, it's going to turn to poison, man.
Yeah.
How many miserable people do you know that have millions in the bank, but they're not participating in the circuitry, and all that money has done is turned into death?
I know many of them. Many of them.
Yeah, I know a lot of them. And it's kind of sad too. You look at those guys and you're like, man,
You have it all.
why do you got to be such an asshole? Like, you know.
Well, let me give you my example. I grew up broke. I was broke my whole life. Became a pastor. I had a sustainable income. If I fell in love with that, I would have never left my job. I would have held on too tight. But my thought was like, dude, I've been broke before. I would rather risk being broke and go pursue what I think I'm supposed to do. But I had to let go.
Yeah.
For me, it's like the joke when we were kids is like that dude Tarzan dates. You ever heard this? Like they don't break up with this vine until they got a hold of that vine, right? And like we're all bad about it. But for me, I felt like I had to let go of something
To grab
without even knowing,
Yeah.
right? I didn't even know what was next. And I see what that's produced in my own life and the friends and the circuitry that's alive in my life right now. And I'm like, I don't know how to express that, but I know at some point in someone's life, if they're going to go pursue life, it's as much about letting go as it is about hanging on.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm
Makes a lot of
already a
sense.
giver, if I'm already a generous person, if somebody asks me to get me a Dr. Pepper when I go in the gas station, I'm gonna give them the biggest one.
Yeah.
And because I want that to be
Yeah.
true about me. They're like, I'll never drink that. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
it's not even about
It
you.
makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, it's who I
what you're
want.
s- yeah.
It's who I want
It's
to
who
be.
you want to be.
Absolutely.
I want to be that. And so like if I find myself falling short or whatever, like it's just something to come back to. It's not about batting 1,000, but man, it's at least something to aim towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be the best outlook. I mean, I couldn't imagine sitting down at dinner with you and Shay Hillenbrand.
Yeah. You guys would fit in pretty good.
Like I would leave there.
When
just-
and where?
Like I would
He would
leave
love-
there taking
I'll hook you
over
up
the
there.
world. Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in. Like
Yeah.
I love. Here's the people that I love. I love people that are smarter than me, so they're easy to find. Second of all, I love when somebody introduces something and I'm like, I've never
Yeah.
thought about. Now I will say this, and people think I'm lying when I say this. And I promise you, it's true. I spent between 60 and 80 hours a week researching for 10 years. And people, how'd you do that? Well, I listened to audiobooks and podcasts on 2 times the speed. And I felt like I had a responsibility that if I'm going to be leading 4, 5, 6, 700,000 people,
Better know what you're talking about.
let me say that number. I said it wrong. 5, 6, or 700, not 700,000.
I was like, dang.
For now.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Give me a little time.
But like, here's how I thought of it. If 600 people are sitting out there, they've gotten up, they've gotten dressed, they drove their family, and they're going to sit here for an hour. I owe at least 600 hours to the people I'm speaking to. Well, I can't do that. But what I can do is I can take the learning element of what I'm doing seriously. What I don't want to do, we've all done it. We've sat in church and we're like, I feel like this guy preached a sermon last week.
Yeah.
I feel like all we're doing is like we're singing war chants again. And like, I know what that feels like. The advantage to that is here's this principle again: give in, give out. Right? Like I take in so I can give out. The reason I was taking in is because I had a responsibility to give out. Well, who did it benefit? I would have never spent 10 years with 60 or 70 hours of research a week. Never. I wasn't even a good student.
Yeah.
Like I had terrible grades. So the chances of me becoming any level of like intellectually informed were zero until I attached it to an output. When I attached it to an output, it necessitated an input. And as a result, I'm the one that got to benefit from it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah. Yeah, so back to the contributor thing. As far as the 1017 thing goes, dude, the idea that we're going to give. So here's the challenge. Somebody wants to be a part of the deal in November. Here's the challenge. I want there to be dignity in the process. What I'm not going to do is we're not going to have cameras. We're not going to have a video. We're not going to be like, hey, poor, come here. Here's this. Everybody get that? And nobody would want that anyway. So what does it take? It takes creativity. It has to matter to me enough to take the steps necessary that there's honor and dignity as part of that process that says we're not trying to embarrass anybody. So here's what we do. We did this when we were in Oregon is we said, hey, we're going to hand this out. If you know someone who needs it, take it to them. And we would donate a cow a month through that process. We didn't know who they were taking it to.
Yeah.
We didn't know where they were distributing it. So if somebody comes up and is like, oh yeah, I got a friend, but they needed it. Hey, no problem. We're not even going to ask. We're working with the food banks because they have a relationship with these people. We're working with the programs, the shelters, the places that make sure kids have enough food. So to do that, full dignity, no questions asked. Somebody goes, what if they take it and they didn't need it? Okay, we'll cancel it? No. I would rather feed someone who doesn't need it than not feed somebody who does.
Yeah.
So, and the reason for that is I guess you'd call that like the cost of dignity. The cost of dignifying people who need it would be like, maybe we give some hamburger to somebody who doesn't need it, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I call it the cost of doing business.
That's right. That's all it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty
Can
cool.
you imagine you're like struggling to feed your kids and someone's like, hey, we're going to feed them. You're like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, now get up here so we can look at you. Like, dude,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
you see the
that would
videos,
suck.
you see the videos of like the pastor at the church who's like, we're going to order pizza and then we're going to tip $5,000 to the guy. Now get up here so we can all sell the videos. And like, dude, that to me, like,
Yeah.
I know they mean well. I know they do. I don't sound critical, but like, God, can you imagine how embarrassing that'd be?
Yeah. It would be.
It's like Rodney Carrington talks about when you go to church and like he calls you out from the crowd. Like, you're like, oh shit, I didn't do nothing that bad.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I want to go on record as saying like I'm for church.
Yeah.
I know some of the best people are in church. I know some of the worst people are in church. Church doesn't make you a good guy or a bad guy, but I'm not against it. You know, it's not like
you make yourself a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah.
Church, I don't think has anything to do with it. That's my feeling.
Well, if the Bible calls the church the bride of Christ, I have to think he probably doesn't want his bad mouth in his bride, right? But that, if you caught her out in the bar on Friday night, you maybe want to call and tell him.
Maybe something.
I don't know. We don't have to talk about it.
Well, I think we're gonna let Jordan go, get back to Wickenburg, get back on the projects. It'll be time to rope by the time you get back.
We're getting close. By the time I start hauling water.
Getting close.
I tell you what, I'm not going to do is I'm not going to have one saddle before 9 o'clock.
No.
Let that sun go down for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you on the YouTube thing, and you've kind of helped me kind of get this thing rolling.
Yeah, we
kind
talked
of behind
about
the
this
scenes.
earlier.
When I first started.
Your studio.
My favorite thing
studio is awesome.
My favorite thing about the podcast culture is like everybody's buds. There's no competition. Yeah. Everybody like this right here. Like this is awesome. I love getting to be on other people's stuff and like. I love that it's not a competitive culture. And if somebody ever is competitive, they don't last long.
Yeah.
Right? Because what you don't want is you don't want a podcaster who's like trying to run himself into the spotlight every chance he gets. Like, hey, like people smell that, right?
For sure.
So the people that are not competitive are the ones that have all the success.
Yeah. That's what we get. Like we get people come up to us and talk to us or whatever, and they're like, "Man, it's just you guys ask the question that like the normal guy wants to ask." You know, like Brandon said, "How many times going to Denver do you stop and let your horse out of the trailer?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff that people.
Well, and that goes. I think that goes back to the contributor versus consumer because a contributor is looking for ways to give. A consumer is looking for ways to get. So if you're hosting a podcast to get attention, people are going to bounce on that.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a way that goes, hey, I think this is interesting. I think you guys like this too. Man, it's
That's why I wanted you to talk about the 1017 project and like what you do in Wickenburg and stuff is huge. I love Arizona so much and the cowboy culture out here. I want to keep it alive as much as possible. When you think of Arizona, People think of Wickenburg and
Damn right.
ropers. You know,
It makes sense that Cesar would love it because I promise you it loves him back.
Yeah, make sure you go check out Jordan's podcast.
Yeah,
Flatbed
for sure.
Podcast. There's
Appreciate
some good
it.
ones on there for sure. So
Guys,
thanks for having me, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jordan.